Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Welcome, everyone. I want to introduce you to one of my favorite people on the planet, which is Timothy Dunphy. And thank you so much for showing up.
My pleasure.
You come all the way from California.
All the way from California.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see you here in cold Denmark. And now that I have defrosted you from the Danish weather, it's so good to see you here. And the reason why I wanted to introduce my audience to Timothy is because Timothy is a master of what I believe that more of us should learn in this new century. Because what Timothy masters is actually what I would call applied quantum physics. And very few people know what that is and what it looks like, working with energy, but it's actually a very important skill in this new century, because we don't, the mind, which we have used hitherto, or the hands, which we have, some of us have also used hitherto, is just not enough. If we want to succeed under the completely radically new circumstances, if we want to find solutions to the myriad of problems we have on this planet, the little mind and the hands alone are not enough. We need to access our extraordinary self, our dormant resources, our essence. And this is what you're a master at.
Thank you very much.
I would say, calling forth, bringing us back to helping us shed the layers of what's blocking us and realign, re-educate the autopilot, inner autopilot, so it's no longer just pulling us down and sabotaging our development and moving forward, but actually helping us. So that's why I invited you, and I'm very, very happy that you are here, and I'm very happy that some of you are watching and listening. So thank you so much. You're in for a treat, and if you stay until the end, you will also get an experience of what we have been talking about. But first, I'd like to introduce you with your own words. You now have a chance to say something, and what I would like you to just tell us is a little bit about who you are, because you are not only an energy master, you're also a master of martial arts.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that, because it's interesting to hear who this man is.
Okay. I'm Timothy Dunphy, and I'm an 8th degree black belt in Taekwondo, which is Korean martial arts. I'm also the co-founder of an international self-defense, self-esteem, and self-confidence building organization called kidpower.org. We have now trained over 8 million people worldwide. We have chapters throughout the world in promoting self-esteem and self-confidence and self-defense. I'm also a Reiki master, and I'm also the founder of Chi Aura Integration. You can find out more about that at my website, mastertimothy.com. So, how do I bring in? I've been doing Chi Aura Integration. I'm the founder of it, and I've been doing it and developing it for 37 years, and it's all about energy. Excuse me. I just walked about 2 miles in the cold air, so I'm thawing out. It's all about energy. Everything is energy. Every scientist talks about energy. Energy is vibration. Energy is frequency. And we have all of these frequencies in our body. The beauty of what is happening on the planet now is more and more of us are waking up to the fact that we can tap frequencies and other vibrations that make us completely human. Most of us throughout most of our life come into this situation where we think our brain is in charge, but they have found out now, this organization called Heart Math, which happens to be in Boulder Creek in California, about 9 miles away from where I used to live. So they have developed the ability to test the heart, and the heart produces 40,000 more sensory neurites that go from the heart to the brain. They now understand that the heart is the commander-in-chief of our emotions and what we do in the world. With that information, it's important to understand we can tap into the power of the heart. So people like Dr. Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton, they talk about the brain producing a frequency that sends your vision out into the universe. The important thing to understand about that is it is the energy and magnetism of the heart that attracts the vibrations and frequencies that resonate with your vision, with whatever it is you want to manifest. It's the heart that produces the field which draws those frequencies to you. So that's the energy. So what is preventing us from accessing that is, first of all, a lack of information. Next, what do you have in your life that has caused emotional shock or trauma? That forms an energetic frequency that is a barrier to reach these higher states of consciousness. The higher states of consciousness can be actually documented by going into deep theta and deep gamma brainwaves. That's where we penetrate the beta brainwave rational mind, and we go beyond ourself into where the frequencies and vibrations, get this one, that hold the entire galaxy together. That's where they are. We can penetrate it with our own mind, with our own heart, if you practice. And I'm going to teach you something at the end of this on how to practice this.
What is that useful? Yes or yes. The thing is that we, if you think this is a little, weird energy and just think about, we have actually been using the mind for a couple of thousands of years. We've been using that operating system. So how did that go? What kind of solutions did we come up with then? We've come up with amazing technology. Let's admit that. Amazing technology, infrastructure, and all that. But how do people feel? Not so well. Actually, mental illness is on the rise, or mental discomfort. We have a lot of anxiety. We have a lot of depression, even in countries with so many reasons to be happy. We are not necessarily happy. And if we look at how businesses are going, there's so many problems in businesses. Yes, many are having a great bottom line, but most are not. Most fail. And there's a lot of you could say lack of thriving in businesses all over the place, where people are resigning, or just low engagement, or actually an incredible amount of people, I think is way over 50%, feel actively disengaged in their job. So in other words, our usual ways of doing things are not really working, not to talk about how we have created climate problems, ecocide, wars, conflicts with our old mindset. So this is why I invite Timothy to come to my leadership trainings, because I'm all about, let's try something else. Let's try something new. Let's see how we can help ourselves and each other overcome what keeps us at the same level of thinking that perpetuates and worsens the problems. How can we actually shift level and break through what is holding us back in these perpetuating problems? And this is where your energy mastery comes in, because what happens when you work with the leaders and people is that old defense, or that old crust around the heart, those old layers, if we can free ourselves from them, a whole new world opens. So this is why this makes a lot of sense for leaders to get interested in that. Here's an opportunity to free your autopilot from the destructive, self-destructive, and also the destructive patterns that just keep creating more problems. We need to shift that spiral and go upwards now and create solutions that are a good deal for everybody, and that give us access to the genius solutions that not only work for the next quarter, but also in the long run. So Timothy, can you tell us a little bit about what are some examples you've seen of transformation working in this way? Some of the you've worked all over the world and seen amazing transformation happen through doing your energy work with people. Can you give us some examples of what you've seen, what shifts you've experienced?
All right. Real simple. If you have had an experience in your life that when you think of it now causes your system to go into some form of stress, that is a frequency that entered your body through a particular event. Let's say you were in a car accident and you broke both of your arms and you missed a big opportunity and a lot of things crashed because of it. So now let's say that was 10 years ago and you're sitting and you're talking to a friend and you mention that accident and all of a sudden your energy field begins to crumble. Now you feel sad or you feel anxious. That indicates that the frequency that was caused through that accident still controls you. You have it in your mind, but you haven't transformed the frequency. So when you have a frequency that is called a lower vibration, what you do is you put a higher vibration onto it. So for an example, I had a client who was having a lot of anxiety in her body because she had a near-death experience when she was 3 years old, and she didn't want to come back to the planet, and she ended up coming back, and I treated her when she was 40. And every time she thought about that, her solar plexus went into extreme pain. With one session, and this is because she was already meditating, she was already practicing yoga. So I'm going to mention this throughout this hour, that if you practice these skills, you can actually transform yourself. If you work with someone who knows how to be with energy and how to transform energy, it can go like that. In her case, she completely changed in one session. And it was really simple because all you do is, what I do is I enter a very deep state of gamma brainwaves, and I've had this tested. So when I go into gamma, the law of the universe is a high vibration causes a lower vibration to migrate to the higher vibration. So an anxiety, if you were to have an electroencephalogram on your brain when you're in anxiety, the chart would go like this, like that. When you go into a state of coherency and you're coming from your heart, the graph would go very even above and below that line. When you take a coherent form of energy and combine it with an incoherent form of energy, the incoherent form of energy becomes coherent. So what happens is you literally change. Now, this is really key. You change the vibration that has been trapped in your body by simply using a higher vibration of gratitude. To change it, you can then think about the exact same event and it will no longer control you. It will be as though the event were way in the distance and it no longer controls your energy field. So that would be one example. That was an extreme example because this woman had been in pain for 37 years, just remembering that situation. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, I think that it's so interesting to hear the real life examples. I remember once you came to my leadership training, and I wanted to give. I was teaching a bunch of male leaders, about the feminine energy. Because what I'm all about in my trainings is to help people balance the masculine and the feminine, and a lot of men don't really have a clear sense, and a lot of women either, so many of us, because the feminine has been suppressed for so many years, we don't really know what is the feminine energy and how is it useful, and what and how do we access it. So it's mysterious for a lot of people, and so I wanted to give them an experience of what I call the invisible power of the feminine, because the feminine is the masculine is so tangible. It's like we can see and feel it, but the feminine is more intangible. So how do we experience that? So I thought, let me give them a tangible experience. So you came to the class, and I remember one of the guys, he was like almost like burdened like this, you know, his shoulders were a little bit like, it was like he was carrying burden from, maybe it was from his own childhood, but it could also have been from his ancestors, or just cultural burdens, who knows, because we carry a lot of stuff. And it was so interesting because when you had been there, he was like, you could actually see his body expression just shifted from this carrying this burden to opening up. And this particular person, I mean, made like 180-degree transformation during our 9 months together. It's like that opened up a completely new paradigm from him. You know, oh, me without the burden. It's like a whole new story. Me without carrying the burden from my ancestors, my culture, my upbringing. Ooh la la, enchanté. That's a whole new. So he really got it. And what happened for him, it was like he really, he got such access to his beautiful, beautiful heart. Oh my God. So, and that changed, of course, his relationship to his wife, of course, his children, but also to his colleagues. You know, suddenly it's a completely different story to relate, not through the mind and what I think about, you know, my filters from my childhood and my culture, but just to relate heart to heart. It's a completely different, more clear and connected experience. So that was one of the most clear examples I have experienced myself when I look at, you know, what the work you've done with my leadership students or leadership participants. And I've also experienced myself, you know, you are such a supporter of the divine feminine, and sometimes, you know, I've been through so much with going through divorce and moving and so on. So sometimes I would be like, oh, this is a little tough. And then you would come. And just because Timothy is just unstoppably cheering on the divine feminine, you would really like, you would give me a session. It was just like completely transform my outlook on things, and just like, hey, what's the problem? So it's quite magical what it can do. But you've also seen more physical examples, right? Maybe you can tell about the miraculous healing of your brother.
Okay.
Because that was an extraordinary story.
She wants an example of a physical change. My brother was suffering from cancer, and he went through chemo, he went through radiation, he went through CBD treatments for 3 months, and he said, well, I was just stoned for 3 months and it was really uncomfortable, and that didn't help it. He went to Vietnam and was given injections every day for 30 days. He comes back, and about 4 months later, he was in such extreme pain. He went to the doctor, and the doctor said, I am so sorry to say this to you, but your cancer has metastasized throughout your whole body. There is nothing medical science can do for you. You are terminal. Call us when you need hospice. Can you imagine your very best friend or husband or wife or child having cancer, and the doctor saying there is nothing medical science can do? You're walking dead. Well, that's what it did for me. It made me say, I'll say, there's nothing medical science can do for you. So my brother's name is Terry. Terry and I talked, and I said, okay, medical science can't do anything for you, but we can do it. So to make a long story short, I gave him 2 sessions a day. And after 6 months, he said, my cancer's gone. And that was 4 years ago. He's still alive. I just talked with him last week. The beauty of talking with him last week is his wife said, you keep saying your cancer's gone. I want you to go get tested. I want to know what the doctors say. So the doctors tested him, and his doctor said, all right, this is the last time I want to see you. You don't have cancer. There is no sign of cancer any place in your body. It is not going to come back because you don't have it. Get out of here. That is probably the best example of how energy work can actually heal the physical body. Now, there's another component to that, and this is part of what this energy is all about. He was 220-pound martial artist. He's also a master in Japanese style martial art. He's a surfer, he's a weightlifter. He was a 220-pound muscle built man who lost 100 pounds of weight. He took his shirt off. This is before we started our work together. He took his shirt off and he said, check this out, bro. He looked like he just came out of the death camps. 100 pounds. And he said, but guess what I'm doing? The doctor said I'm terminal. So I take my shirt off and I stand in front of the mirror. Now, if you're not listening, go like this, because this is key. He said he looked in the mirror every day and would just touch his body and say, thank you, because he was 72 at the time. And he just said, thank you. What a ride we have had on earth. We have had so many experiences, and I have enjoyed being in you. Thank you for all the gifts that you have given me. Because I have been in you for 76 years, I have found my spiritual awakening. I know that beyond the physical, the entire universe is made of the vibration of love. I am not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to leave this body because I know I'm going to go into the vibration of love. So this was 4 years ago. He still does the same thing. He practices gratitude every single day. So if you get anything out of this hour at all, it's be grateful for what you've got. Period. Say thank you 1,000,000 times throughout the day, because it's a vibration that can literally heal your cellular structure from anxiety. I'm going to say one more thing about that. Well, probably more than one more thing. When we go into anxiety, and what all the masters now are saying is that 95% of our thinking is repetition, and 70% of that 95% is negative. What? 70% of our 95% of the same junk we say to each other every day is negative. That negative frequency activates the amygdala in the body for fight or flight and produces adrenaline and cortisol. That is an addictive drug combination. Pay attention to what you're thinking today. Notice, even if you go, wow, what a great day, notice how soon your mind will find something negative to think about, because your body needs the adrenaline and cortisol addiction. It has to be satisfied. So pay attention to your thinking. Now, here's the thing. When you say thank you, or here in Denmark, when you say tak, that is a high vibration. It's coherent. So if I were to say to myself, I don't know how I'm going to make it home today, and that's a negative thought. And if I were to say to that thought, oh, thank you for reminding me to say thank you. I'm in Copenhagen and I'm going to catch the train later. Thank you for reminding me to be grateful for what I've got. If you can turn every thought into something negative, all you do is say thank you for it. Thank you for reminding me to say thank you. That's it. Oh, did I just teach you a technique? Yeah, I just taught you a technique. Every time you have a negative thought, say, thank you for reminding me to say tak, tak, tak. It will change your life, I promise. Do it. And if it doesn't work after 21 days, if your life hasn't changed, call me and I will do something about it with you. That's all. That's all you need to know. Say tak. That's it.
Well, you're so right. You're so right. And the gratitude, let's remember, gratitude is in the heart. And you just said in the beginning that the heart is so much stronger than the mind. So definitely, I like the saying about the 21st century that we're entering the heart-centered era. And this is a good reminder to practice from the heart. The gratitude is so much more powerful than all these negative thoughts. I want to say a thing about healing and self-healing. So here's my experience, and I think it should be said, it should be added, even though it's perhaps not so encouraging. But I also had a son who was diagnosed with cancer, and the doctor said that there was nothing they could do. What I found out was that yes, there was a lot we could do, because there's a lot of cancer healing methods that we'd never hear about, because the conventional doctors only promote the chemo, the operation, and the radiation. But there's a lot of other healing modalities, and miraculously I found some of those, and one of them was energy healing, and it completely altered his system. I mean, listen to this. Before use of energy healing, when he had chemo, his immune system, his immune defense would go down to 0. I mean, he could have died from a cold because his immune system was completely knocked out after chemo. And we had to keep him in isolation, and he could, he walk around in these covers, and it was terrible. After energy healing, when he had the same chemo, his immune system was above normal. So that says a lot. The only thing that it didn't cure in his case was the tumor. Then we found another other healing modality. This time was a guy in Austria who had invented a machine that does exactly what you're talking about. So shoots the frequency of a cell that is well towards the cell that is sick. What happens then is that this vibration is stronger, so the sick cell commits suicide, which a sick cell should do, but that's what cancer cells forget to do, so they just keep reproducing. But a sick cell should commit suicide. So when it's met with that strong energy, it commits suicide. And so what happened is, in my son's case, it was actually that his tumor collapsed, the cancer collapsed, and we actually had him checked with instruments developed by NASA, so it's like really refined technology, and they could not find any trace of cancer in his body. So yes to energy healing. In his particular case, what happened was that when when the tumor collapsed, it sort of the blood went into his lungs. The Danish conventional hospital did not believe that he could have been healed with other healing modalities than the conventional methods, so they refused to empty his lung for blood, and he died at the age of 7. So I just want to say that it's not a sure thing that just because you use energy healing that you are going to survive a terminal disease. And one thing that I learned from this was that, thoughts are vibrations, feelings are vibrations, but so is the soul has its own vibration. And what I concluded from this, and this is not truth, but it's my truth, and I just want to put that in. Yes, healing can happen if it's in alignment with what wants to happen. If it's not, in my experience, it won't happen, and the soul goes on and does its transformation to something else. But I say that because some people will watch this, and this talk about energy healing will induce guilt in their system that why am I not able to heal myself? And maybe you're not supposed to. So what I learned from the experience with my son is control the controllables. This was something I learned from my engineer brother. He said, I was feeling so guilty. Why was I not able to keep my son alive? And he said, in the engineering world, we have this saying, control the controllables. And I absolutely did that. And I also had the pleasure of watching him being healed from the cancer. He didn't die from the cancer, but he died anyway. But I just mention this because I think that the so-called holistic thinking we need to be very aware that we don't induce guilt in people who are not able to heal.
Mm.
Life is still a big mystery, but it's amazing that we now know so much more about energy because we can measure it. We can measure it, we can reproduce energy. I mean, it's just like the phone and electricity. I mean, you can't see it, but it still exists. So we have to take energy seriously. But again, we're part of this big mystery, and we are also needing to sometimes be open to what wants to happen that might not be in alignment with what we would like to have happen, but it still happens. So please do not go into any guilt about your own particular situation, but I hope this will inspire you to use gratitude and control the controllables. We can control what we think. We can control how we deal with emotions, and we can definitely also control what we choose to believe in and our actions, right? And the kind of help that we choose to look up. So maybe you want to comment on this, because it's I think it's an important part of this whole discussion about 21st century paradigms, that we keep this humility that we cannot, doesn't mean we can control everything, right?
Well, another thing, when Kirsten is talking about guilt, it's a low vibration. I don't know if you knew this, but they have the ability to literally measure the biofield and the output of the energy that is being produced in your body. When you have a negative thought, your biofield literally shrinks, okay? Literally. When you have a positive thought, your biofield actually expands. So if you're in a leadership position in your company and you're having negative thoughts about what is going on with the community, with the people that are working for you, if you allow yourself to maintain negative thinking about what is happening in the workplace, you are actually shrinking your own biofield. When you do that, it's like going for a swim in the ocean with a wetsuit on. The water can't get to your body. I'm from California, from Northern California. All the surfers wear wetsuits so that they keep the water off of their skin. When you are thinking negative thoughts, you are actually shrinking your biofield and building a cocoon of energy where the water can't touch you. The frequencies of the high output that you want for your company, of the goodwill that you want for your company, those resonating frequencies that are all available can't touch you because your biofield is so small. When you think positively, your biofield actually expands, and now you have the ability to literally resonate and attract these energies that are going to make you successful in whatever it is your job is.
Very, very, very important point, because as leaders, we stick out. So people are going to have an opinion about us. You can just listen to the conversation in your own head right now. What do you think about this interview? So people are going to have an opinion. And if we let that get to us in the form of doubt, self-doubt, am I doing a good enough job? Is it okay that I have this vision, this opinion? Oh, these people got a little bit pissed because I didn't take a decision that they liked. So if you let that come to you, you can really shrink in your magnetic field, and that will lessen your power as a leader, and you will seem less trustworthy to follow, because we also read each other's energy even though we can't see it. So that also affects our magnetism, and so there's a lot of energy happening here, right, with the throat. Yeah, so that also affects our level of magnetism, and the problem is then if you don't attract followership, then you have to start using your power over to dictate what's going to happen, and that will create even more separation between you and your colleagues. So it's a downward going spiral. So for leaders especially, it's super important to know, how do I clear my energy field so that what I exude is actually attractive. It's also important for entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And one of the main things that can get in the way, and I think it's important that we touch upon this subject, because I think this is where the road divides for most of us, and that is when we talk about, or that is on the level of fear.
Oof.
Fear, fear, and more fear. So that's two roads you can take. Fear, and fear is, listen to how easily fear can just, it's like it's almost like a fire, and sometimes you can put out the fire, but if there's a little spark left, it can become a big fire again. So fear is really what I believe is one of the main distinctions between 20th century paradigm and 21st century paradigm. Is 20th century paradigm is induced with fear all over.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So how do we transform that fear? Okay, so gratitude would be one.
This is so simple. It's so simple. First of all, if you think about something right now that causes fear in your body, think of somebody who has offended you 5 or more years in the past, and think of them now, and you're going to get angry, you're going to get upset, you're going to feel betrayed. And then look around the room and think about this person who's betrayed you, and just look around the room and think about this person. Look 360 degrees around the room and ask, where is that person that upsets me so much? Right here. Right here. That person is between your own ears. It may even be a situation where the person has already died, and you're keeping that experience between your ears, and it's affecting your whole system. So anything, fear or anger, resentment, betrayal, if you can allow that vibration to come into your body and actually feel it. So if you feel, I'm afraid that I'm going to fail, that's because Kirsten's talking to all you leaders. I'm afraid I'm going to fail, and allow that fear to come up. And then I'll show you this in a little bit, but then you feel the magnet between your hands and you go, thank you, fear, for reminding me everything is okay. Fear is forgetting everything is all right. Thank you, fear. Notice you say thank you. Why? If you're familiar with Dr. Masaru Emoto's work with water, just saying thank you literally changes the structure of water. Literally, they've done thousands of experiments. It literally changes the structure. Oh, you're 70% or more water. So if you're having fear and you say, thank you, fear, because the fear is making your cellular structure distort. So now, again, the cellular structure distorts, your biofield shrinks, and so now you're like this. Yeah, I really want to be successful. But you can't attract anything because you've got no container for it. So if you're afraid, just simply say, thank you, fear, for reminding me to be grateful. Because wherever you are in your fear, more than likely you've got nice clothes on. More than likely you've had breakfast. More than likely you're going to get into a car to go where you need to go. More than likely you're sitting in your office right now. So all of these things, you've got about 100 million, thousand, cajillion reasons to say thank you, and that will literally change the structure of the water in your body. It's that simple if you do it. I dare you to do it. I dare you. Another technique. Every time you walk, every time you take a step, every time your foot hits the ground, say tak, tak, tak. Every time, tak. Try it, and before long, you're just going to be smiling. And you're going to think, why didn't I do this before? Because it's all right here. All between your own ears. When I discovered it was my responsibility for my happiness, my first thought was I was upset. No. It's their fault, her fault, his fault, not my fault. So my first feeling was it's my responsibility. I didn't want it. And then when I realized it's my responsibility, how I feel in the structure of this human form that I have taken on, it's completely my responsibility. That's all. So simple. Why did you have me here? This is so simple.
Yeah, it is quite simple, but the reason why you're here and the reason why we can replay this is because there's something in all of us that pulls us towards the reality we know, and the reality we know is full of mixed feelings that and circumstances that affect us all the time. So we let ourselves be affected by the outside circumstances and our own mixed feelings mixed with our traumas. So it's quite simple recipe, but it's more complicated, as you have probably experienced, to use it. And that's why, you know, just to talk about leaders, that's why I have leaders for 9 months, because that's actually a small amount of time to induce new habits. And actually, I would say all of us have to do this. It's lifelong. We have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So we can learn some methods and going to courses, taking a session with you, going to some of your workshops, which you can do when you go to your website or your Facebook page and follow what you do, is really helpful, because it's a catalyst, it's a kickstart. It's like an opportunity to really give yourself a different environment to be in, where it's conducive for these kinds of things. But you have to keep doing it, because new circumstances will arise, new fear will come up, new people will punch you. So you have to keep doing it all the time. But the good thing is it can become a new habit, and I would say, oh my God, it's gratitude. What a difference that makes. Also in terms of life pleasure.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story. In 1989, I had a martial arts school in Watsonville, California. And at 5 o'clock in the evening, the biggest earthquake in 100 years knocked our building almost completely down. The mother of one of our children was killed as the bricks fell down on her as she took her son out of the building. We were up on the second floor. She pushed him out of the way. One brick got him on his thigh, snapped his femur in half. 2 other kids got caught with some of those bricks. They had broken bones. Our studio was completely destroyed. I was in my home at the aftershock, and another big aftershock came. I had to jump out the window, and I separated my shoulder. Fortunately, I know how to roll with Aikido rolls, so I only just separated it a little bit. So we had no school, and everybody was depressed because the mother got killed, the other kids had broken bones. So I had an opportunity there. How am I going to be the leader of this group of people whose lives were devastated? My house was knocked off its foundation. A lot of the students, their homes were knocked off the foundation. The government did not allow us to live in those homes, so we had to rent someplace else, plus pay the mortgage on the house that we couldn't live in, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a lot of fear and a lot of sadness then. So I had to make a decision. Are we going to continue? Because that was a perfect time to quit. Now I don't have to keep this school organized because I had another job. And then I made the decision that I was going to be a leader. I was going to gather the students and the parents together. We found another place to practice. This was back in October. And by, I think it was in May, we had a national championship competition, and many of our students actually placed first, second, or third in the national competition. And we're just this tiny little community in Watsonville, California. But that's when you find out, so you're leaders. That's when you find out who are you. And you have to lead by example. And if you can lead by example through gratitude, because we have this studio to practice in it wasn't a very nice place to study. But every time we started the class, I started with a meditation and would say, let's be grateful for the fact that we have this little room that we can continue our practice. So we started with gratitude, we ended with gratitude. And like I say, a bunch of the kids ended up being national champions. So you have to make a decision. How are you going to lead the people in your community? How are you going to lead the people in your business? Do it with gratitude. When you walk in at work, what's happening, everybody? Are we ready? This is the way we like it. And I learned that from my father, actually. We worked in Georgia in the middle of the summer, 115 degrees. We get to the job, it was already 100 at 8 o'clock in the morning. And the guys would go, oh my God, we gotta work in this heat. And my dad would go, let's go, guys, this is the way we love it. Changed the whole emotional atmosphere of how we work throughout the whole day. 10 hours, 115 degrees. Just thought I'd mention it. Walk in your office and say hi to everybody with a smile. Thanks for being here. Let's get to work. But it really is about being positive and being filled with gratitude in your life so that it isn't fake. So that you come in and for 8 hours of the day, you pretend to be happy. Then you go home and you're miserable. Feel that joy, feel the gratitude for being alive. I could go on and on and on about gratitude. So what else, my dear?
But one of the many things I adore about you is your integrity and your authenticity. I have never, ever, ever seen or heard you in anything but an elevated state. I mean, I can talk to you under any circumstance. I can call you at 4 a.m. and you will still be, hey, just like, so how are you doing, Timothy? Amazing, splendid, going on superb. So it's like you really live your message. Before we go into demonstration, I would like to hear your experience with the feminine, because one of the things that I'm really on about in my leadership trainings is to help people really get a balance between the mature masculine and the mature feminine, because I think that's a prerequisite for leadership in the 21st century. We cannot continue to lead from an immature masculine and immature feminine. So you are one of the men I know that really honors the feminine, and I'd like you to just speak a little bit about what do you see as a feminine quality, and why do you support and honor the feminine? Okay. What brought you to that? Why do you, as a very masculine man, think it's so important?
All right, this is a good story. I mentioned I'm an 8th degree black belt in Taekwondo, and part of my training was I joined a program that specifically taught self-defense. In the early stages of this program's development, it was for women only. And I became an instructor, and we wore like 40 pounds of suited armor, big helmets and shoulder pads and big, huge groin protector. And I decided I was going to I did a lot of work in my martial arts school. There were a lot of women who lived in a shelter for battered women and children. And I had a friend who worked there and said, can you do something for all the people that live here? So I would put their children on scholarship at my school to give them a place to come and learn discipline and be supported in their life. And then when I started to notice how many of these kids were coming to school, I was noticing there are a lot of women at the shelter for battered women and children. So I ended up becoming a certified instructor with this program. At the time, it was called Model Mugging. And then we created our own, this woman, Irene von der Zahn and myself, created kidpower.org, where we do the same thing. But this was the moment, I remember it specifically. What we did was we had a course with 15 women normally on an average, 12 of those women were sexually assaulted. And that's why they were in the program. So we would sit and talk about what their life was about. And that was the first time that I really had to sit and listen to women's stories, coming home from work, going in their home, looking in every room, looking under the bed, looking in the closets to make sure no man was in there that was going to attack them, and then putting 3 or 4 locks on their door so nobody. I was going, women actually live like this? So we had a course. It was a 5-week course, and on the 4th week, we did this program where we put martial art mats on the floor, and women would come and tell the story of how they were raped. And as the male instructor, I had to go out and be that rapist. Woo! So anyway, this is the moment that changed my life. I go out, I already know what the scenario is. She is laying on the mat. I have to go and straddle her and turn her over and raise my hand and tell her I'm going to beat her to death unless she does blah, blah, blah. So I go out, I straddle her, I forcefully turn her over. And the terror that was in her eyes went right into my eyes and right into my heart. And I literally felt my heart crack open, that this woman had to live. And most of these, all 15 of these women and the female instructor had to live like this every day. It literally changed my life. This was my first time. So no, I had a certified male instructor walking me through the stages. He was sitting over in the corner. I came back to my spot. I started walking towards him, just crying. And I said, I got to go tell David, I can't do this. It's too much for me. I can't handle the terror that is in these women's hearts and bodies. And when my foot touched the place that I needed to stand on to listen to the next scenario, my left, remember this like it's happening right now. My left foot touched that spot. My right foot took another step so I could go tell my male instructor, I can't do this. And then my whole body turned. And I literally heard a voice that said, just do this because this work must be done. I heard it just like you're hearing my voice right now. I heard that voice. This work must be done. You cannot quit. And so I've been doing that. That was since 1991, I think, something like that, that I've been doing that work. Do we have a moment?
Yeah, and I just want to say the purpose of the training wasn't that these women then would get an opportunity to act in a different way.
Yes. So thank you. Yeah. The whole point of this was I didn't actually hit her, but I brought my fist down like I was. Well, this was the 4th class. The preceding 3 classes were all about how to defend yourself against that, how to actually get a person off of your body if they're on top of you. So she blocked my arm, did an eye strike into my eyes, pushed me because it's in the eyes. I had to go back. Then she did a heel palm into my chin. I fell off of her. Then she did a couple of kicks to my head, which indicated that I was knocked out. And then she ran back to the line yelling 911. Very dramatic course. That moment that I just shared with you changed my life forever, about the difference on how women live on this planet and how men live on this planet.
Yeah, and since then you have supported the Divine Feminine
yes,
in new ways.
Ever since that moment. Well, I mean, I had been, yes, ever since that moment. Changed my life. So, I'm a fan.
We are very, very grateful about that. Absolutely, the feminine will not be able to be fully healed and to be fully restored as an equal energy with the masculine before we get men on board with this. This cannot be done by women alone. So in the beginning, I had leadership trainings for women only, because a lot of women have also forgotten what the feminine is able to, and also forgotten feminine power, feminine fierceness, that the feminine is not weak and passive. But I'm so grateful now that I have more and more men coming, because when men embrace the feminine within themselves, like you did in that moment where your heart cracked open, that's where we can start to have this healthy, fruitful relationship between our inner masculine and feminine, and also on the outside. So it's a prerequisite for restoring wholeness on this planet. So I really, really appreciate your support of the divine feminine.
You're welcome.
So now the reward for staying on, and I'm so grateful for all of you who are watching this live and who are cheering on us with your comments. I would like to invite you to check out, to get an experience yourself of Timothy's work. And of course, I would encourage you to get a session with him. He also does them online, so you can be wherever you want in the world. But for now, we are here, and we would like to experience what energy work can do for us. So if you can give a little demonstration, and then if you want more, you can choose to book a session or join a workshop, or you can even choose to join one of the longer trainings where we go more into depth with these things. So go for it.
Okay, I also do online sessions, which I've done many with Kirsten over the years. Go to my website, mastertimothy.com. How much time do you want me to do with this?
Just whatever you feel like. If people don't want to, people don't want to stay, they can.
All right. But if you're driving right now, don't do this.
Don't close
all
your
right.
eyes.
We talked a little earlier about entering deep theta and gamma brain waves that go beyond beta mind and move you actually into 0 point. This is where it all exists. In 0 point, we can access it if you practice. Have I said that before? If you practice, you can develop the ability to enter these deeper states. Here is one thing you can do right now. It's real simple. Rub your hands really fast and shake them out and put them about 11 centimeters apart. You're going to notice tingling or heat or magnets, or all three of them. Ooh, doesn't that feel good? Just take a moment, take a moment. Now, this is why it's important. You are feeling your own biofield, your electromagnetic field produced by 38 trillion cells in your body. That's you. Close your eyes. Allow your heart's deep wisdom to bring you safely into your heart. And as you are there, use your creative imagination. Which of your hands represents the heart of the earth? Just pick one. And it could change next time. The other represents the heart of the heavens. So that's gravity for the earth. For an example, so that you understand, on a full moon, you know everything changes. That's part of the heavenly field. When you do this practice, you are synchronizing, you are bringing into harmony your biofield with the fields of earth and heaven. That's the frequencies that hold the galaxy together. That automatically, when you say that to yourself, your brain goes, what? I'm bigger than my body? I'm actually the field? So scientists say energy is a wave and a particle. Our body is the particle, which also contains the wave. And then the wave extends into the entire galaxy. Feel that. Allow your heart's deep wisdom to bring you safely into your heart. I feel a song is getting ready to come out. Hear the song with your ears. Feel the vibration of the song in your cells. Hey, yeah. Ooh. Here's a self-healing technique. Keep doing what you're doing. Cross one foot over the other. Put your right hand up on your left shoulder and your left hand up on your right shoulder and hug yourself. The reason you're hugging yourself is because you're thanking your body. Because just figure it like this. If you didn't have this body, you would not be here. Isn't that an interesting thought? Normally we look in the mirror, we go, oh my God, I'm getting older. Oh my God, my hair is going gray. Oh my God, I got to lose some weight. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, my shoulder hurts. Take this moment and thank your body because you wouldn't be here without it. And if you show it a little gratitude, a lot of that stuff might change. So feel your body. Focus in your heart. Feel joy. Think of something that makes you so happy, your face breaks out in a smile. You can't help it. If you're not smiling, you're not doing it right. Notice you're thinking about something you've already experienced. Isn't it nice to know you have had some joy in your life? Huh? Bring that into the workplace. Bring your joy. Feel that joy in your heart. Feel the joy in the bottoms of both of your feet. Feel the joy in your heart again. I can literally feel some of you smiling. This is good. This is good. Feel the joy in your third eye. Hey, feel the joy in your crown chakra. Feel the joy in your heart. Ooh. Now you should really be smiling. I'm going to count to 3, and as I count, the joy is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And when I say 3, it is so strong, it explodes, and the explosion uncrosses your feet and causes your hands to leave your chest. Here we go. Feel it getting stronger in your heart. One, stronger. 2, stronger. 3. And we thank all who are present who've assisted in these healings. I know some of you got that. I can feel it. Some of you are happy. I can feel it.
I think it's difficult to not be happy in your presence. So I would have to make a real effort. I hope some of you experienced that as well. This was just a short little sample, but I can definitely recommend to get yourself the full experience. It has been joy with big letters to know Timothy, and I have only good things to say, and just give yourself that experience. It's really, really worth it. And who knows the new version of you, who that could be. So this is what we're all about in this time, is to upgrade ourselves to the next version of ourselves, freed from the luggage that keeps us down and keep us in the small selves. It's time to open for the extraordinary leader in all of us. So thank you so much, beloved Timothy.
My pleasure.
I'm so grateful for your help. And I'm so grateful that you all were watching and participating and commenting. It's really, really good to be here with you. So go to mastertimothy.com.
mastertimothy.com.
Yes. And also you can find out, I will put in the links so that you can see it. Thank you so much for your attention, and go on and have a wonderful day and a wonderful life full of what?
Gratitude.
Gratitude and good energy.
Hasta la bye-bye. Alameda Vena.
See you. Bye.